Hey, how we doing? Welcome back to the channel. I'm sure you can hear some cars buzzing around in the background, but that's honestly perfect background noise for this review that I'm doing, which of course is for F1, the latest from director Joseph Kosinski, starring Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Kerry, Condon, Tobias Menzies, Kim Bodnia, and Javier Bardem, and this follows veteran race car driver Sonny Hayes, played by Brad Pitt, as he gets brought on by his friend into his Formula One racing team, where he eventually clashes with hotshot newcomer Joshua Pierce, played by Damson Idris, and kind of follows what those two have to go through together to work as a team and to find their own path to victory and redemption. And just by that synopsis alone, it probably sounds like a familiar story we've seen before, interestingly enough. And this is coming from the director of Top Gun Maverick, which was one of my favorite films of 2022, without question, and I think one of the most iconic movies, I think, just to come out of this decade. I think that's without question. And so this one I naturally had very high expectations for, especially with cinematographer Claudio Miranda coming in and shooting the cars in the same way as he did with the IMAX cameras and the planes for Top Gun Maverick. And in that regard, I do think it is extremely well done. Some of the racing sequences, especially near the beginning of this film, are absolutely just astounding to see unfold on screen. The technical proficiency, the very heightened perspective that you get from being in the seat of the car is really something quite special. And I do think that overall, it is undeniably excellent. But, I was not as enthralled by some of the racing sequences as suppose some other people were. And maybe that's because earlier last week, I saw a little film called Grand Prix from 1966, and I say that facetiously. But that movie, I think, is the greatest racing movie of all time, from director John Frankenheimer, really revolutionizing those techniques that we would see from, shooting from the side of the wheel and the car, which hadn't been done at least in full throughout the entire film before that. Maybe in a few shots here and there, but you got these races that were actually in camera, actually happening. And I think Frankenheimer and his team really revolutionized that. But that movie was also, kind of like this breakdown of the psychology behind a lot of these drivers to get into the driver's seat, and really followed, even though it had some of the beats that a lot of these movies had, it went in very unpredictable directions. It's not an underdog story, and it really caught me off guard emotionally many times in ways I did not expect. And with this one, you don't get that. And I know this movie came out almost 60 years ago, but it's kind of hard not to compare the two because they're both Formula One, racing films, and they have very, very similar techniques. And I just think that it was perfected back in 1966. And maybe the reason I'm a little bit more harsh on this one is because of the script, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But let's talk about some of the positives. I mean, the cast here is really, really great, and the dynamics that they have together is what really holds this film in place. And that, of course, has to be given a lot of credit to Brad Pitt as Sonny Hayes, who's really, the old has-been, so to speak. And he is just so effortlessly charming, witty, funny, everything you expect from a Brad Pitt performance, but he really does deliver here, as he always does. A very, very reliable actor, and I think he's really finding his niche, growing into these older types of roles. Still, good looking and charismatic as hell. He can pull it off, and he certainly does that here. One person that really impressed me was Damson Idris, because I hadn't really seen him in a lot before, but he really captures that cocky energy that the character of Joshua Pierce needed. And I wish that there were a little bit more layers to his character. I know that there was a whole subplot with a girl that got cut out. I heard that this actress was I saw, before the movie what she looked like. She was only in one shot in the film, and I wonder had that been another element, if it could have fleshed out his character a bit more, but, you know, who's to say? We have Kerry Condon in this as, you know, one of the main engineers who designs these cars, and the chemistry she has with Brad Pitt is absolutely electric. And they had some really, really great banter in the first half of the movie that I was really wanting more of throughout the entire thing, but they are absolutely phenomenal together. Javier Bardem, always great in everything. Very funny in this, you know, he's kind of been in funny mode for a while with Dune Part 2 as well as Stilgar. But yeah, I really do like the energy he brings to this cast, the chemistry he has with Pitt almost immediately when they're on screen together. You're like, oh yeah, this is a good fit. And yeah, I like a lot of the other cast members as well. Especially Sarah Niles, who plays the mother of Joshua Pierce in this, really gets a couple of scenes to shine and really explodes off the screen in those moments. And so, yeah, the chemistry's there. The craft is most certainly there. I don't think Claudio Miranda is going to get nominated for cinematography for this. If he didn't get nominated for Top Gun Maverick, which I think is an insane snub, one of the worst in recent memory, I certainly don't think that he's going to get a nomination for this. But the sound design in this movie is absolutely impeccable. Even the way that, like, the conversations are a bit muffled when they're talking to each other through the earphones. I mean, it's really, really great stuff. And then, of course, the engines are vrooming all over the place. You know it's going to be great. And the editing is exceptional here as well, as it should be for a movie like this. And so there's a lot to admire about this movie. It's a rousing story. The ending of this film, of course, will put a smile on your face. Just the euphoric build of the entire last sequence here is nothing short of fantastic. But I think that there's a lot about this movie, because I was really loving the first half. The needle drops are insane as well, right from the get. And I really loved the banter between these characters and everything that was happening. But you get to the second half, there starts, you know, occurring too many cliche montages that we've seen many times before, and, you know, the same beats that we've seen over and over again. And it's not that any of them are inherently bad, but I just don't find it to be that interesting. It's like, okay, like, the formula works for a reason, but I think it also holds it back from containing a bit more depth that it could have had otherwise. I mean, Top Gun Maverick is a great example. Same director, same screenwriter, and that really dives into some very interesting territory and very surprising moments between these characters. And I don't think you ever really get that here. It goes in all the ways that you'd expect and then some. And I don't know. I really think for all the work that was put in this movie, there could have been a little bit better story. But there are moments that I didn't expect. That did catch me off guard a little bit, and it's like, wow, I didn't expect it. But it wasn't something that I was overwhelmed by emotionally, like Grand Prix, for instance, which I will always hold as the gold standard from racing movies from this point onward. And yeah, I mean, this isn't quite up to snuff with the best racing films of all time, but guess what? It still is one of the most impeccably crafted and attentive look at Formula One racing, done with the utmost amount of authenticity. I mean, you even see some big race car drivers in the movie as well, so that's very cool. It was done with all the right intention, and it has the heart that really pushes it across the finish line, pun intended, in that case. And look, I'm going to give F1 an 8 out of 10. You know, it isn't one of the best movies of the year, I think, by any stretch. But, you know, for what it is, I really do think it works. I mean, it's hard to deny it. I know one of my friends said it's very confident in what it is. And I think that kind of confidence comes across in almost every single frame of this movie. And I think, you know, I'm glad to see that it's doing well at the box office. I think it's going to continue that streak well into the summer. And it's nice that Apple TV has a big blockbuster hit on their hands. This is a first time for them. And I do think that this is going to get people's asses in the theaters, because they're going to want to see cars go vroom vroom on the biggest screen possible. I mean, you have to see this in IMAX. Oh my goodness, the scope is overwhelming in the best way possible. And yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. It's a good time out at the theaters. Not saying you're going to necessarily love it, but I do highly recommend it, just to, you know, get the experience and exhilaration that a movie like this will give you watching it on a big screen. But you guys let me know about F1. Did you love it, or were you a little less enthusiastic about it than I was? I completely understand if you are, but let me know all that down below there in the comments, and please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Lots of great stuff coming around the corner. Just kind of got to figure out what that is. I want to start making some more personal videos that aren't just movie reviews, because it kind of feels like I'm going through the notions a little bit, and I think I'm starting to suspect the same from y'all, and I want to be able to deliver something a little bit more exciting and fresh. So please stay on the lookout for that as I plan what that might be. And in the meantime, you guys have a great day, week, what have you, and I'll see you very soon.